I guess I should issue spoiler warning. However, the spoilers will be very, very minimal. I only mean to try to answer a few questions with the Buffy lore, which the Bonamali is sometimes very flexible. But if we do go with quote, TV canon, what is up with the Knights? A lot of people seem to be really confused about the Knights of Byzantium and Glory and the Key. Now, I will admit, despite seeing a lot of these episodes over and over again, and seriously trying to study Whedon, Sarah Michelle Gellar, and really know what we're talking about here. Yeah, I wouldn't say the main problem are the Knights. In fact, I find that bizarre that certain fans find the Knights hard to understand, but not Glory or the Key. So, without giving too much away, the Key is essentially some mystical energy, and it is given the form of Dawn, who's a young girl who becomes Buffy's sister. Now, I don't think any of that really does make sense, how the monks did that, how exactly the magics operate here, but that is what we're told. But people keep saying Dawn is the key. Dawn is not the key. Basically, just the key energy is in her body and her soul. It's never quite explained. I mean, later on, and unfortunately, I think that's a radical retcon. They're like, oh, the key needs blood, or the blood is that is not established in the early episodes. So it does feel like the writers had a general idea and then added specific restrictions, but those were not really outlined early on. So it is a little wobbly, but that is a problem for Glory and the Key. In terms of the monks and the knights, in terms of what we know, or if you pay attention, really it's not that hard to understand. So who are the knights and who are the monks? Because the monks are really critical. So the monks are the Order of Dagon. And what is that? Well, the order comes from Tarnus, right? Tarnus was the founder of the cult, and he comes from the 12th century. Now, how do we know this? Because Giles and the others were doing research, and according to Giles's research, this is what happened. So Tarnus founded the order in the 12th century and apparently survived centuries and centuries. So by the time it's in the Czech Republic, that's not necessarily the origin, but the order was based in the Czech Republic when basically Glory appeared. Glory attacked them, but before she could kill all of them, they basically did what we now know, tried to turn the key into a young girl and put it into Dawn, I guess, and did a kind of, I guess you want to say, memory spell, so that people's memories were retconned, that they believed Dawn always existed, because Joyce, Giles, and the others do affirm they've got memories of Dawn, but now they realize those memories weren't real because she wasn't real. That's another thing people get wrong, that she's real. She's not real. So technically she was created literally in the year 2000 and exists from then on. But even before that, she never existed. So people seem to think, well, if Buffy had memories, those are not real. It is a little tricky, I grant. But again, that's a more key Glory lore issue, which we'll do another video. So yeah, what Glory is exactly in the key, that's a little more murky. But the order was established in the 12th century, and for centuries the monks studied the key and Glory. So where the knights come in? Okay, that seems a little bit more iffy, and I would grant, I wish we had a little bit more details, but the basic gist is fine. That, like the monks, they've been around centuries and centuries, studying and hunting the key and Glory. And a lot of fans get this messed up. Oh, they're not fighting Glory, guys. It's fairly simple. Their job is to destroy the key. So Glory is then, well, technically going to die, right? Because she can't stay in the body forever. So that's the plan. They're not there to confront Glory. That's the point. They studied Glory. She's too powerful, so we'll destroy the link, right? Dawn is the link, not the key itself. The key presumably will be liberated by this mystical energy. She won't be able to tap into it, and that's the end of the story. But how does this all start? I would assume the obvious Tarnus and the others got some knowledge of Glory somehow. I mean, yeah, more details would be nice. But they found knowledge about the key and Glory, and these two factions just split, right? And the knights are not just knights, they do have clerics. So presumably, the knights had their extremist interpretation. We should just destroy whatever the form the key takes, and therefore keep the key safe from Glory. And the monks are, no, we can harness the key, we can use the key for good. And there you go. So just a theological divide of how to deal with this kind of mystical object. what are they really? Well, it seems clearly they're based on some kind of form of Christian Catholic mythology, right? It does seem obvious allusions to the Knights of Templar. So it's some secretive knight order that has been around for centuries after centuries and just shut up in Sunnydale. I mean, again, we want more details about how do they get information, their clues. People are like making fun of tattoos on their forehead. Believe me, guys, if you work in America, you can easily work in America wearing a cap, knit 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 cap, cover your forehead. A lot of employers don't care. If you do basic labor, that's fine. So them hiding out for centuries in America, just working low jobs where they can hide their identity, it's not a problem. Also, we do have a lot of people who do belong to religious cults or different religions where they can cover up their head. I do understand what people are saying. They don't like the look of the knights or find them stupid or pathetic. Right. The visual design is not for them. That's not the issue. The issue is whether they cohere with the basic mythology or plot. Does it really seem out of step? And some people are saying, oh, the knights are just too goofy. And like, really? You find the knights too goofy, but Buffy, Adam, all that stuff, Slayers, that's fine. That is not goofy to you. Okay, that's hard to understand, but there we go. But whether you like the Knights or not, the question is, do they make sense with the show? I mean, again, the only thing that seems very iffy to me is Glory just showing up in 2000. Okay, how does that work out? I mean, where exactly was she? We know she's some intergalactic being. What was the process? Did she like fall out of the sky, push that through a portal? Yeah, questions. But again, do I believe there could be or are very small secretive religious orders, what with dozens of members that have extreme religious views and just hide in plain sight? Yes, we have them all the time. We even have mainstream religions that do this. And they have splinter factions that get really, really obsessive in their particular interpretation of certain passages. There you go. So it's not hard for me to figure this out. These are very small splinter factions of this particular theology, right? I mean, they call Glory the beast. So clearly in their brains, this is a certain kind of a biblical apocalypse, and they're just focusing on it, and it is real. And again, I guess the world building question is, at a more general level, certain people know that magic is real, like demons are real, these things are real. So we should actually have more of these orders. That's true, but then we watch Angel, we do. If anything, for storytelling purposes, there should be actually dozens of different little groups because that's how it usually works, guys. You have one religious doctrine, one prophecy. You're going to have many, many different groups. But obviously, for the sake of the budget, we're going to dumb it down to two groups, right? The monks and the Knights of Byzantium, and their metaphors. Not hard to understand. I do get that people don't like the monks, don't seem to understand why they're there, yada, yada, build them up more, do this or that. I'm just talking about what the writers and producers and directors did. And did they present a credible picture of a secretive order? Whether you like what they did with it, that's fine. But I mean, the basic coherence is there. So to summarize, the Knights of Byzantium are a very small secretive order composed seemingly of a few dozen people, mainly knights, but some clerics. And the Order of Dagon was also an extremely small, more clerical order. And there we go. They're obsessed with glory and the key. The monks prefer to try to safeguard the key. The knights think that's too dangerous and they should basically liberate or keep the key away from glory. And the way they see it permanently is to destroy any link, which is any kind of incarnation of the key in human form, right? And that is another question. Could they make the key an inanimate object, make it a thing? I don't know. We don't get precise ideas about the key or glory because they're too ancient. Also, the monks are killed off. Right. So there's a lot of details we're not given. I wish they did give more backstory later. I mean, we learn a little bit more about the initiative, even in Angel, but yeah, the Knights are just there, mainly for season 5. I think probably the best solution would have been have some of the Knights show up in season 4, because they did plan out the Knights, guys. They didn't just show up. But for whatever reason, the writers in Whedon made them only in season 5. So I think it would have been better to build up Glory and the Knights in season 4. But for whatever reason, they saved them for season 5 exclusively. So it does create a few problems, I grant you. But the main problems are with Glory and the Key and Dawn. the knights and the monks are not, I think, the biggest issue in terms of the lore, at least in my opinion, with season 5.